Good evening and welcome to Sports Overtime. We are here in our digital studio. You can watch Southeast Sports Plus Monday to Friday, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We spent this past week previewing a lot of great games in and around college football and basketball with our friends from Nexstar Nation. Here's the best of. We continue our look with the upcoming college football playoff games. Broke down Alabama and Indiana earlier. The other game featuring a pair of teams out of the SEC. It's a rematch between Ole Miss and Georgia. These teams will look a little bit different than they did in their previous matchup. Most notably for Ole Miss, there's a new head coach on the sidelines as Pete Golding takes over for Lane Kiffin. Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. I'm Gerhard Mathangani, joined by Patrick Walsh. And Patrick, if you're an SEC football fan, all you got to say is Georgia and Ole Miss in New Orleans, in the Sugar Bowl, and the stakes have already heightened. That's a place that the SEC fans know, really love. It's a venue that a lot of SEC fans know and love, and it will now be the site for the quarterfinal game and the winner trying to get to the Final Four.
And I think that the SEC faithful are happy that this is the Sugar Bowl and not the Rose Bowl matchup. Obviously, Alabama is going out to Pasadena to play in the Rose Bowl, but you'd rather have SEC on SEC action in the postseason within the regional footprint, and New Orleans is definitely that. You've got Baton Rouge right up the road, so who knows what Lane Kiffin's going to be doing. Maybe he makes a secret appearance. I believe it's, what, an hour away?
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably secretly watching that game last week as well, trying to see, hey, am I going to get my bonuses? Come on, Charlie Weiss Jr., get me my bonuses. You know, Pete Golding, get me my bonuses, even though you didn't want to come to Baton Rouge with me. But before we get back to this game, I saw that Lane Kiffin's staff is finalized, and it's just Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, retained. Like, oh my goodness, man.
It is interesting as now Ole Miss plays in its second game without Lane Kiffin. I thought going into that first game there was going to be a level of how much is this team distracted. And it really felt like against Tulane at the beginning of the game that they knew exactly what they needed to do. And I like teams that have a bit of a runway before they go into these college football playoff games. Last year, we talked about it earlier in the show. Last year, it was a situation where all four teams that had the first round bye all lost. And you had to think about rest versus rust and teams that are going in with that win. In the NCAA tournament, we've seen a few teams, VCU comes to mind, of teams that went from the first four to the Final Four. They just got a runway. They got a chance to play a game. It was in Dayton, obviously, and then they go out to play their first round game, and they can just go on and make a run. I know you have Ole Miss as far as in your bracket going to the championship, but do you factor in any of that too, just how long it's been since Georgia played and the fact that Ole Miss just got off the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to factor in the fact that I believe it's going to be 26 days when this game kicks off since Georgia last took a snap against Alabama in Atlanta in the SEC championship, and that's a long time. I think it worked out, well, at the time I thought it was going to work out in Oklahoma's favor because obviously you had John Mateer banged up. Maybe it might have worked out in Alabama's favor. You get a couple of those guys healthy. You get some time to spend with your offense, trying to tweak some things here and there. But I do go back to, I still think Ole Miss is going to win this game, but it's hard to forget about that first matchup. And I know Trinidad Chambliss literally just said this a few hours ago, and he said, hey, we were the better team in the first game. And I mean, you can't deny that. Ole Miss should have won that game, but they allowed 17 fourth-quarter points to Georgia. Georgia stormed back, avoided what would have been their second loss at home this season. I don't remember the last time they lost 2 games at home in a single season. You'd have to go back almost a decade for that. But, you know, I think part of that has to play in for these Ole Miss players because they're like, hey, you know, we should have beaten these guys. And I think the confidence has to be there. Like, hey, we can, in fact, beat these guys. Just got to play a full 60 minutes.
We continue our coverage of not only the college football playoff, but also bowl season with our good friend Roger Wallace. He's normally there in Austin, but now he's got a great view. He's over there in Orlando checking out the digs as the Hook'em Horns face the Michigan Wolverines there.
You like that?
Yeah, that is awesome. That is an awesome background.
That's Tiffany Gold. No, it's not.
Roger, we were talking during the break, and I actually want to bring this conversation to the light here about just how much the bowl games have changed over the course of the, maybe the last 20 years or so, with the adoption of the college football playoff. How different is it now that you're covering a bowl game as compared to a college football playoff game that you had in the past?
Yeah, pretty different. And, I think about, days gone by where you'd be at a bowl site for a week with the team and kind of tracking their every move. And then, slowly it's been pared down a little bit. But yeah, the last 2 years, Texas in the playoff, and it's been more like a road game. It'd be a couple of days. There'd be a media day, a coach's press conference. You play the game. Here, they've been here since Friday. We haven't. But they've been here since Friday. So that's kind of going back to the old school where they have a bunch of events. And, I think they're kind of tired of hanging out in this hotel a lot, too. So they're ready to play the game. It's changed a lot. And the goal is to not have that bowl experience. The goal is to go to the playoff where you hope that this isn't the end of the road. Like Texas now knows, and Michigan, they know this is the end of the road. Season ends around 6:30 Eastern time on Wednesday. And then it's, rinse and repeat and try to build into a roster. So a little different feel the last couple of years covering the playoff as opposed to, the traditional bowl game, which I guess, I'll buy into it. If you're going to go to one, Citrus Bowl, they do get the top pick in the SEC and the Big Ten. So probably one of the more prestigious non-playoff games, but, that's little consolation. And I was going to be outside poolside for you guys, but it's like 50 degrees outside, so
Mother Nature didn't
we don't even
have
that.
Everything's falling apart, but it seems like every time we talk to you about this bowl game, it seems like there's just a new development every time. And now I have to wonder, who is Texas going to roll out at the running back position? Because, the entire room's in the portal.
Yeah, this started mid-season with Jarrett Gibson going in the portal, and from there they've just dropped one after another. Trey Wisner was the big surprise last week because he went through practice, and then they got the break before they went home before the holiday, and then he announces, so clearly somebody got in his ear, or as Sark talked about today, some agent asked for an amount of money that wasn't realistic. And yeah, you start with Gibson. Ricky Stewart was a guy that probably saw the handwriting on the wall that he wasn't going to see a lot of playing time. Baxter, you're not surprised. Coincidentally, Baxter and Gibson, both from the state of Florida, would have been homecomings for both of them. But Wisner was the wild card here. He's a Texas guy. He's from DeSoto, south of Dallas. He climbed the depth chart. He's kind of the offensive version of Michael Taft, kind of bleeds burnt orange, does everything for the program, waited his turn. And so, for whatever reason, and there are a myriad of possibilities, he decided to go seek out a different opportunity, i.e., you would think more money, right?
Right.
That's the realistic thing.
Yep. Stay with us here on Sports Overtime. And remember, you can watch our show, Southeast Sports Plus, from 2 to 4 o'clock on the free WKRG Plus app. You can find us on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV device.
College basketball is no longer college basketball. It's professional basketball, and we need to understand that. And so for me, the daughter of a basketball coach, a longtime college basketball coach, it's just not the same game. It's just not the same. And for me, I honestly resonate with Coach Cal and him getting on a soapbox because I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
We all want college basketball to stay college basketball for a reason.
Yep.
If you wanted to see the pros, go watch the NBA.
Exactly.
Seriously.
There are platforms for that. G League, the NBA, and we've seen professional basketball and let college basketball be college hoops. Without further ado, let's tee up Coach Cal on this topic.
Real simple. The rules be's the rules. So if you put your name in the draft, I don't care if you're from Russia and you stay in the draft, you can't play college basketball. Well, that's only for American kids. What? If your name is in that draft and you got drafted, you can't play because that's our rule. Yeah, but that's only for American kids. Okay, now, here's the next lawsuit. Well, we don't have a say over European players. You do if they're playing in college basketball. So that means you don't have a say over high school kids. So whatever a high school kid does before he comes here, don't you do one thing because there's a suit. Because what you're saying is, if he's in Europe, we don't have the same rules. What? If he puts his name in the draft, he can't go to college. He left his name in. Well, that's different because he's European. Okay, you're not doing anything with a high school player then. We don't have any jurisdiction over a high school player, do we? We don't. So when they come, you just got to say, all right, now they're here. The other thing, the eligibility, again, real simple. You got 5 years to play 4. If you stay at the same school 4 years, we'll give you a 5th year. If your coach leaves or is fired, you can transfer without penalty. You can do it once, and if the coach is fired or leaves, you can end up doing it twice. But after that, you got to sit out. You can transfer, but you got to sit out. Does anybody care what this is doing for 17 and 18-year-old American kids? Do you know what this opportunity has done for them and their families? There aren't going to be any high school kids. Who, other than dumb people like me, are going to recruit high school kids? I get so much satisfaction out of coaching young kids and seeing them grow and make it and their family life changes that I'm going to keep doing it. But why would anybody else, if you can get NBA players, G League players, guys that are 28 years old, guys from Europe, do we really know their transcript?
He's one of one. He's absolutely one of one.
This is the greatest rant.
It was the greatest rant, and it was really succinct, and he tackled it from 2 different perspectives. He tackled it, as you said, from a hey, if we're going to fight all these eligibility things about whether it's Europeans, well, then we also don't have the same jurisdiction for high school. And then he also talks about the fact to be able to transfer that one time if your coach leaves, possibly twice. And then I think he hit the nail on the head in his final statement when he's talking about 17 and 18-year-old kids, because what we've done with this system overall, we've bottlenecked all the talent. So then now college basketball is filled with a bunch of guys in their mid-20s instead of guys that are 17, 18, 19 years old. And what we've really done is really done them a disservice as well. To this men's basketball program, the highest-ranked SEC team right now, top 15 there in the country, I think number 11. You mentioned it, they're undefeated with the likes of Michigan and Arizona and some of these other top teams. Can they keep this going as SEC play begins this weekend?
You know, the amazing thing is like, you know, they don't have like 5 stars or 4 stars. They just have guys who fit what Mark Byington wants to do, and that's get up and down the floor, shoot the basketball. I don't know how many stars Tyler Tanner had coming out, but he's from right down the street here at Brentwood Academy, and he's just an electric young player who can score. I mean, he looks like they grabbed him straight out of the Y. He's like 6'1", 150 pounds, but he's got handles and he can finish. He can finish away from the hoop. He can finish at the hoop. He can throw it down. And the great thing for them is they did have a game where they didn't shoot the basketball well, and that was at Memphis, and they still won that game in overtime. And I thought that was an extremely valuable game for them to shoot the basketball poorly and still find ways to win, not let it affect the other parts of their game. So they showed they can also win a lower scoring game on the road. They've got some guts to them, which, is not something we were able to say about Vanderbilt teams, when Bryce Drew was the coach or when Jerry Stackhouse was the coach. This team showed that, when they were struggling on the road, they could dig in. They've played some good teams. I mean, they went to Wake Forest. I don't know how good Wake is this year, but they went to Wake Forest and just drilled them. And then they had they have SMU in the ACC Challenge.
That's right.
And they dropped them by I think 18. So they are battle tested to a degree, maybe not to what some of the blue bloods have done to start the year, but they have been consistent with what they have done, and and it's with his guys playing his way, their confidence is sky high. And they're going to lose some games. Yeah. There's no question about it. And truthfully, that's usually what shows you how to get better. Right. So it's going to be really interesting to see, how much the scoring comes down as they start conference play, because we all know teams dig in a little bit more, once the conference schedule begins.
Well, I think that brings up my question when you brought up the battle testedness of some of these blue blood programs. When you take a look at the Vanderbilt schedule, they haven't really played a schedule quite like Alabama has played or Kentucky has played. But in your opinion, is this team still elite even though they haven't played any of these teams, and why?
I think it's fair to question it. I do. I would say I would say I wouldn't call them elite because they don't have an elite win on their schedule.
Yeah.
But I would call them, worthy of their ranking. All right, because where are they ranked? 11th?
11. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're not in the top 10. And that's despite being undefeated and despite being an SEC team. So the voters have said, we want to see a little bit more. And I think that's reasonable, but I think being 11th in the country also shows a healthy amount of respect. They're going to win some of those games when they play them, and they're going to lose some. I'll be very interested to see, what that ledger is, when the year is over, when they play the Alabamas and they play the Kentuckys, and see what the wins and losses are. Because look, they won some of those games last year, and they're a better team than they were a year ago.
Absolutely. Intensity.
So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. It does. It's kind of like, hey, we like where they are right now, but it's still left to be seen if they are the upper crust of college
basketball. There's meat on the bone.
Yes.
They're very good, but there's meat on the bone for sure.
Exactly. Intensity is kind of a strong word. That's one of the words that the head coach Mark Byington used for his team. Let's listen to Coach.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. You can watch our guys, and they like each other. And they like basketball, and they have fun and great personalities. They don't care who gets the credit. And so this is a chance to play basketball they love to do. And it's going to be a continued building process. November, December basketball is, prepping you for what's later on. We know there's tremendous challenges in January, February, March. But that's what we want. And there'll be some adversity, there'll be some bumps. But at the same time, this is a fun group. Like coaching them. They come to work every single day, and it really is. You see our unselfish brand of basketball, and it's because they play basketball the right way and they care about each other.
Stay with us here on Sports Overtime, and remember, you can watch our show Southeast Sports Plus from 2 to 4 o'clock on the free WKRG Plus app. You can find us on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV device.
Without further ado, since it's the last live show of 2025, let's get it.
Let's make some picks here. First game on the slate, Miami, Ohio State Buckeyes, 9.5-point favorite.
I like Miami to cover here. I think 9.5 points is absolutely insane, and we don't know what we're going to see out of Ryan Day calling plays because he's taken over for Brian Hartline, so then he can focus on being the next head coach at USF. And Carson Beck played in the SEC last year. He's played against some good defenses. I think that defensive struggle against Texas A&M was a one-off.
Right. Going from a home site there at Texas A&M to a neutral site, I think makes a little bit of difference for this football team. I still like Ohio State, though, to cover. I think it's a backdoor cover, though. I think they lead by anywhere between 4 and 6 points, and they put up a late touchdown in order to win that game.
Oregon, 2.5-point favorites against Texas Tech.
I really like Oregon. I just do. I like the way that they're playing. I know defensively they did not look very good. I know Texas Tech has a good defense. I just think Oregon rights the ship after giving up a lot of points to JMU last week.
I think this week I'm going to go with the underdogs. I really like Texas Tech to win this game. I was a little bit shocked that they were the underdogs. I think Oregon has a great offense, but that Texas Tech defense is honestly at an SEC level.
Right.
And they've got Baron Morton, who could also be an SEC quarterback.
That's exactly right. Alabama, after a win over Oklahoma, will face the top seed in the country, Indiana.
I got the Hoosiers covering this one.
I like Bama. To me, it's too many points. If it was 4, I would say Indiana. I like Bama covering the 7. And final game, Ole Miss and Georgia.
Give me Hotty Toddy. Give me the Ole Miss Rebels. I'll see them in person. Trinidad Chambliss throws for 300 yards and runs for a couple touchdowns.
You have a great time at the game, but your bracket will officially be busted. I like the Georgia Bulldogs to be able to get the win. Thank you so much for joining us, Southeast Sports Plus. We'll see you in 2026. That's our show tonight. Remember, you can watch Southeast Sports Plus Monday to Friday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on the free WKRG Plus app. Catch us on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV device. Good night.